I am not a professional. This is not advice on what you should do or how to repair the unit. There are high voltage components, including capacitors, within this unit. There is risk of electrocution and fire. Oh no! This relay welded fault happens roughly every 2.5 hours. Check for the latest firmware in case the fault is due to a bug and update as necessary. If a firmware update doesn't fix it, it's time to open the unit up. First unplug the unit, then remove the front covers and remove the batteries. I have already removed the batteries. Press and hold the power button for 30 seconds and then let it sit for a few minutes to ensure all the capacitors are discharged. Remove the ground screw from the back that holds the motherboard inside. Remove 4 screws from the bottom, then gently prying the bottom away from the unit, lift up and off. Cut the zip tie holding the control panel's ribbon cable. Remove the 2 screws holding the protective cover. Then remove the last 3 screws in the motherboard. The motherboard will now be loose, but will need to be unplugged from other components before it can be accessed. Start with the 2 transformer wires. Moving to the other side, remove what you can. Note that the plugs carrying 120 volts do have a small pin that needs to be pressed before you can pull them off. You won't be able to get them all off from this side. The leads from the battery plug are soldered directly to the board but do have a fair bit of slack. The black power wire to the board is a bit tricky to get the pin to release. With the board now accessible, a blown capacitor, C910, can be observed. Cleaning the area up, we can see there are also damaged traces. Zooming in, we can see the extent of the damage. At this point, I had taken the unit apart multiple times, had a failed repair attempt, and had done much testing. I had unfortunately stopped filming by this point and didn't capture the final repair. The traces were cut back to where they were good, then the missing component is replaced with a ceramic disc capacitor. I used the legs of the new capacitor to rebuild part of the missing traces. A wire is added to rebuild the other missing trace. Lastly, green solder mask is applied to the area and then UV cured. Using my ohm meter, I had determined the damaged part is part of the low voltage circuit and is likely a decoupling capacitor. Shining a light through an undamaged motherboard shows that the capacitor connected to the grounding plane, confirming it is a decoupling capacitor. Here is the repair completed. Since there are no schematics available, I am using a 100 nanofarad 50 volt ceramic disc capacitor, a conservative selection for this function. Now we put it all back together. The unit is back up and running and no longer giving a fault. Thank you for watching.